Gavin Hogg, fantastic to have you on.
And nice to be here. Privileged. Thanks, Gino.
Fantastic. We've of course, we've had you on the radar for a while. But Gavin, you've become synonymous with Cerebos. I know that, but there's a whole other story to your life, which I've discovered over the last few days because we've been chatting to your mates, and at the moment, what are you busy with at this very moment?
At this very moment, I've handed over the reins for head of sales to a colleague of mine who's been with me through my agency business and through Cerebos, Kevin Duckworth.
Okay.
Has taken over as head of sales of Cerebos.
Okay.
And Cerebos have allowed me to move on to new challenges. Designed to take the brand Cerebos that has been with me for more than 40 years. To different places. We're looking to launch products into different categories.
Okay.
So
different products and stuff as well.
While salt is obviously always going to be our core business. The new products that we're developing through an old friend of ours, an ex-spa man himself, Graham Claassen, you might remember.
Graham Claassen, I know him very well.
The famous GC.
You know, if there's a party happening, Graham is always the last one to leave.
And a lot of trouble to go with it. Is helping us develop some new products that will enhance the Cerebos brand into new categories. We're very excited. The Cerebos sauce range, which did exist many years ago, has been reinvented, and we're testing that. And Spa are already on board with us, and we hope to get into the other top end retailers fairly soon. But we have some other big plans for other categories, which the public will see soon.
It's quite exciting then.
Very exciting for me.
But Cerebos,
very exciting for Cerebos.
Is it I know there's a big plant here in Eastern Cape, but is it originally an Eastern Cape thing? Was it a national thing, or where's Cerebos international? Or?
Firstly, the brand Cerebos originates from the UK, and the brand is actually still owned by a UK company. We happen to own the rights to the Cerebos brand in perpetuity here in sub-Saharan Africa. We were able to produce that beautiful product here locally. When you talk about has it been here forever, yes, it has been here forever. It's been here. I don't even remember.
Those salt pans.
I'm desperate to not say it's been here as long as I've been alive, but it's a lot longer than that actually, and it did start here in PE.
Kyk hoe loop dit, says Mark Banks. Mark, nice to see you online as well. Where are you in Darling? Let us know where you're coming from. Gabby, we're watching, says Gail.
Gailey, one of my wife's best friends, in fact, the next flatmate of hers.
Oh, excellent. One of those mates that they drink wine with, is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay. Lynn Dampier says, hello, Gino, Gavin, this should be fun. Indeed. We are hoping so, because I found there's some tasty morsels that I've heard about Gav as well.
Ian Lee is a big problem. We should discuss him a little bit later.
So the pharmacist, your drug, he hands out the drugs.
Yeah, hands out drugs and other things.
Ian Lee, of course, from Ian Robertson. Everybody confuses him with Ian Robertson.
Well, they probably look the same. Not the same age, but they're looking identical.
Our local pharmacist, Glenn Bronze, said, how's it?
There's my MD.
John D. How's it, John?
John Drinkwater. That's my MD, and a man who holds the reins for the brand that has become synonymous with my name.
Okay.
So,
I presume it's also, I think I knew a Peter Drinkwater that was with Dean Marquez.
Aubrey Cullum, ex-Pirates hockey player, Gav for Sona. As you said earlier, Sona's not that important right now, surely.
Boring as hell. Look at News 24 afterwards. They'll give you the rundown. You have to watch it now. It's just going to be lots of long and boring speeches, whereas here you could hear something interesting. So marvelous comments coming up here. I see watching from Mud Lane. This is Sharon Myberg as well. Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, Rob Gill, ex-tennis partner of ours.
Lovely.
Played tennis with him at the Oval Tennis Club for quite a few years.
Now, those guys could drink.
Had the worst forehand I've ever seen in my life.
Really? Yeah. Remember the time Pudge and myself crushed you in Bruce O'Long?
Blanked it out of my memory.
Oh, really? It was in the 80s and the 90s. Can't you let it go, Rob?
Yes, let it go, for God's sake. Actually, because he couldn't let it go, we sent him to Abu Dhabi.
Oh, just off you go. Yeah. Wendy, think you'll have fun with Gavin? Absolutely, I think so, Wendy. Sharon and I were watching from Malelane.
Good heavens, Sharon.
Where is Malelane? Is that up in Joburg somewhere?
That's one of my wife's best friends from school.
Excellent.
Recently helped my wife share a 50th school anniversary or whatever you want to call it down there at Fish River.
There we go. There's another chap we need to get on as well.
Yes.
Ross Clements, Gavin, my son.
Ross Clements, my dad. There's no doubt about that. That man, if I could talk about him for a second, that man got me involved in rugby when I moved to PE after I'd given it up. Wow. He got me involved in the Springbok Stein Club, which is a club that possibly should be kept to one side.
Stein in wine.
But the one thing about Ross Clements that I will always hold very dear to myself is the way he has brought fellowship to hundreds of thousands of people in this PE community of ours. He has brought fun at Pirates. He was the founder member of the Stein Club. Back in the 60s, he was the founder member of Pirates Buccaneers side, which is the old man side that keeps those guys, the Bucks, that keep guys who want to give up hockey. It keeps them back in the game. Okay. He is a legend of immense proportion. He got me involved in the Saders 4B rugby side, and I'll never forget my first game for that side. The opposition failed to pitch, and so I was ready to go home or at least go to the pub upstairs at Saders, and I was bundled into a car, forced to go all the way out to Woodridge. And I was told I was going to be having a bit of fun at a fete. So you can imagine my long
Woodridge Fair.
They even took me to this place where you had to do those magnets and fish for fish because I was complaining bitterly. Until they took me to the real part of the Woodridge Fair, which was the beer tent.
Yes.
And came home at 12 o'clock.
Oh, no doubt.
That was beautiful fun. He is my dad. He's a wonderful man. I love him to bits. And SA Breweries were very lucky to have that man in there. Yes. There's no doubt about that.
So Ross was with
still a special man. He still takes me on the odd pub crawl.
Yeah. Oh, does he?
He's mad, that man.
So he can still go. He's still going at it.
Far better than I can.
It's like Graham McClarson as well. Also, not a problem there. Oh man! I see Ian Lee saying that you spilled some salt on your hair there. So that's cheeky. That's very cheeky.
Ian Lee.
Oh man! So you're saying okay? So at the moment you're looking at a new project.
The new product. Kevin will look after the core Cerebos business.
The factory from there is it local? Or is it you bringing the sources and stuff in?
Yeah, no. We are using third-party packers for some of our all of our products outside of the salt category. But that salt that we produce here, when we did the management buyout. Probably around about 2000. That wasn't the most difficult part of the journey that Lightning Leonard Chandler took us on. At the time, Kelly Chandler, to most of the people watching tonight, will know him as Kelly. Yes. I know him as Len or Lightning Leonard. Yeah. He was the one that brought 3 or 4 of us into that management buyout and made it very easy for us to do so. Yeah. The big challenge was when we spent a heap of money building that new plant, which then made it possible for us to produce a product that is incredible. It's a first world product. It's done in a completely different way to any competitor that we have in Africa, and it really is a Rolls Royce a product. And I think the brand has a lot to thank Kelly for, because that was a chance that was taken at a time when most people weren't prepared to take chances. We stood on the precipice quite often, but Len made sure that I got kicked out of most board meetings early enough to never know that. All I was told to do was go and sell. Oh my word! And never knew how close we were to the precipice from time to time. But he saw us through those troubled times, and the rest is history.
You know, I love it when people talk about that sort of thing, because it doesn't matter how big your business is, how well you perceive to be doing it. It's always, you've got to be at it all the time. Otherwise, things can go wrong so quickly.
And Gino, you've got to have balls, my man. And Lightning Leonard certainly had balls to take us through that. But today, and I have to say that the brand has been with me for more than 40 years.
It's incredible.
It is incredible when I look back, but while we had many great sales teams looking after that brand,
Yeah.
I have to be honest that the brand right now is in the safest hands it's ever been. We belong to the Bud Group.
Yeah.
The Bud Group now own us along with many other companies. We're probably
the beer bunch.
No, not Budweiser.
Okay,
we're much wiser than that.
Okay, you're talking about Bud as in Rosebud.
No. But the Bud Group does own us. We're part of the Bud Chemical Group, and it's the safest place our brand's ever been. And I've got to be honest with you, Gino. That's probably the second last time I'm going to be serious tonight.
Okay. Excellent.
Can I have some soda?
Yes, absolutely. Some more soda.
Some Fitchinley.
There we go. Yes, some more soda and some more ice here as well. We've got some ice if you need as well.
Thank you.
There we go. You have to grab some. Because we've had it sanitized.
With Purity hand sanitizer, hopefully. Not Purity. Purist.
Yes,
How much have you had?
Purist. The purest of the pure.
Yeah.
No, and so I mean that brand as well is like Mark was saying, the chicken and the keko and whoop say.
You have no idea how many times we've received letters threatening us because we're so cruel to animals.
Cruel to animals.
Yeah.
No. Is it still on the thing? Is it still on it? I mean, it just
it is. It's hard to remove something like that from an iconic brand like Cerebos. Some of our newer sort of diversions in terms of product category we've removed it, but on our core brand, it's got to stay there. It's what it is. It is what it is.
It's really.
Imagine taking it off. I mean, people wouldn't even
I don't even
know.
know. Do you know if there's a story behind that thing or anything? I don't even know.
It's an old wives' tale that if you, and it's quite a sad one actually, is if you needed to stop a chicken so you could slaughter it, you threw salt on its tail.
Well, fortunately, that one was getting away.
Yeah,
it's fine.
So
Salt on its tail. Oh no!
I don't even know how true that is.
No, I don't think so. I think that chicken's going to run a mile. But so that's your thing at the moment, and it's nice to have a new project, something you can get passionate about.
Yeah.
Because I think
especially at my age, it's hard to get challenges these days.
You know,
I'm at that age where people that are at my age now are the people I used to laugh at when I was 30.
No, those old buggers.
Yeah, those old fools.
Holy crap! I know. And it's being with a company for that long is crazy though. It's like because you become intertwined in that whole organization.
There's no doubt, Gino.
I saw somebody putting a thing. So Glenn Brown saying a great privilege to work with Gavin, the Cerebos team, as the execution partner. Oh, there. Were you the one that chases those chickens around?
Glenn, how's it, bud?
There we go. And, Timothy Peake.
Timothy Peake. I got a story about that man,
yes.
and the man that's just taken over as head of sales of Cerebos. That Timothy Peake took Kevin Duckworth and myself to the conference in the Berg.
Yeah.
Quite a few years ago when I still had my agency business, so it is a long time ago.
Yeah.
And anyway, we were invited to this conference, and I've always been told that night one, stay calm.
Yes.
But I've never been able to convert that into practice, and night one has always been the biggest part of the lot.
Good advice, night one.
So the first working day has always been the hardest because you've got to carry this massive hangover. And,
yes.
But this particular one was more difficult than most because the night before, I was set up by Timothy Pike and Kevin Duckworth quite badly, where I was forced to tell one specific joke on a number of occasions to the same group with maybe one or two add-ons, but the joke itself had to do with a guy who had a cleft palate. And it was, I'm not going to tell the joke because it doesn't belong on this platform, but it was sort of and I told that joke 5 or 6 times and was encouraged vociferously by Duckworth and Peake to tell the story. What I didn't know was the first speaker the next morning had a cleft palate. And Duckworth dived under the table. Timothy Peake left the room. And I was eternally embarrassed, and we probably lost the account because of it.
That's a true story. You've got to know when and how to tell a joke. As a comedian,
I thought I was about to enter into your market because people were laughing flat out, but they weren't laughing at the joke.
They were laughing at the fact that you were a cuck. Yes, exactly. You got cancelled eventually then as well. Oh, that's so bad.
That is bad. And Timothy Peake must get off this.
Yes, he was. Honestly, when you've got friends like that,
he needs to go to confession and that stuff.
Go to confession, young man. It's ridiculous. And then
there's Taryn Hogg, my daughter.
Yes,
that's my dad. You see?
That's my dad. What a legend! I see that.
Love it a bit. She's in Cape Town.
And Michael's saying, how's it as well? Is it Saki?
Mike Saki must be in New Zealand at the moment.
All the best from New Zealand. He must be up early.
Yes, left us, while we're trying to get big business together in our networking program.
Right, yes.
Michael could have been a big asset to us, but now he ran away.
Yeah. No,
Michael!
You could have been with us, yeah.
Yes, fool.
Mike Raddick saying, how's it as well?
Mike Raddick was at school with me in East London, at De La Salle. Now lives
we'll get to those days
UK.
too. Rob Jones, how's it, Rob?
My bloody brother. There you go.
Kenny Cooper from Malawi. I think it's probably the first person from Malawi we've had on the show.
But he's originally from PE, Ken.
Oh, excellent. They spread themselves.
I'm surprised he's in Malawi at the moment.
Yeah, tell us what you're doing in Malawi as well. We want to find out how people end up in these places. Hoggy, you've got a face for radio. Give it horns.
It's Mark Hunter Smith, one of my neighbours at the Sardinia Bay Golf Estate. Yeah.
Some good Albany English coming through there.
I see Gavin Loon's there.
Gavin
always had him in my pocket when I was bowling. Easy peasy.
Gavin, he's got a story, and I think some of his mates are gonna bring it up. It's something about a curry story, but we'll hear about that later.
Watching from Nice, there, that's where he belongs.
Come on, Warmer, we're here. I think actually, Gav's folks that were up. No, it was Connellans. The Connellans were up the road here as well. But Gav used to be in 14th Avenue, Warmer. We used to play rugby together in the backyard.
Gav Loon?
Yeah, absolutely.
Could he play rugby?
He was a bit of a player, He's a player in many respects.
Always a pretty dresser, slides uphill. I know that.
Snappy.
Gavin asked you to ask about the Calcutta.
Yes, Calcutta Crapper, I think it was.
Oh, God.
He did ask about that.
Listen, there's quite a few people that have sent me WhatsApps about that, but...
The Calcutta Crapper.
Yeah.
He said, ask Gavin about the Calcutta Crapper. So tell me a little story here. Let's get this out of the way.
In 1991, as you know, South Africa first got back into international cricket.
Ah, yes. India.
My good friend GC, Graham Claassen, was invited by Jeff Dakin, who at that time had an agency business in PE. Jeff did.
Yes.
And Graham was working for D.F. Scott at the time.
Okay. The painter, or what is this?
He was the buyer at D.F. Scott. No, D.F. Scott was a big cash and carry business.
Cash and carry, okay.
Run by the Pizzolati brothers.
Okay.
And Graham was their buyer.
Sure.
And Jeff invited Graham to join him.
Yes.
Jeff at the time was president of the South African Cricket Union.
Okay.
And we had been invited back by India into international cricket. It was a big thing.
Okay.
Claassen was invited and was cheeky enough to say, yeah, Jeff, I'll go, but on condition that my mate can come with. But God bless his cotton socks. It took my wife, I must be honest, my lovely wife, Blondie,
yes.
Hazel, convinced me to go because, I didn't have a passport, I didn't have the money.
For a moment I thought that Jeff was going to take your wife.
Anyway, she convinced me that I couldn't miss the opportunity, and Jeff had conceded, we both going, so we went.
Good.
And the drama started at what was then Jan Smuts Airport.
Okay, yes.
When there was a lot of quaffing of beer.
Yes.
And we bumped into the world famous Trevor Quirk.
Oh yes. Yes, and he's been in trouble a few times on my show as well.
The late SA Brewery marketing man, Norman Minnar.
Okay.
And Norman advised GC and I that he had 250 cases of beer on board that Safair flight that was taking us to India. And we were very excited about that.
Yes.
GC and I immediately offered our services to distribute the 250 cases of Castle. We got on this plane and we drank all the way to, I think it was the Seychelles. I was a bit out of it by the time we landed, but I remember the first mistake, or the first thing that Klaassen did to cause drama was we stole an army jeep on the apron at the airport in Seychelles.
Yes, that was a good idea, Graham.
It was a very good idea,
Very good idea.
and it was only part of the story, but we were arrested and nearly sent home, and
great.
I think Ali Bacher saved us from being sent home.
Holy shit.
And we then continued our journey to Calcutta, and we continued our drinking, and about 2 hours outside of Calcutta, or from Calcutta, GC suggested that maybe I should look to use the ablution facilities on the plane.
Yes.
I suggested that maybe we should have one more beer,
Yes.
which I did. And then by the time we'd finished that beer, the queue was right down the plane, and it was too late.
Oh, jeez.
We landed, and I now needed
Yes.
the ablution facilities quite badly.
Yes.
But what I didn't realize was going to happen was that the Indians decided that they needed to spray us and get rid of all the infection that we were bringing in from Africa.
Right. Yes, of course.
So that took an hour. So you can imagine now there was a drama because now the beer was definitely making some noises,
Yes.
and it needed to be removed.
Yes. Get out of
But
there.
I had no idea where I was going.
Oh, my word.
I said to GC, no, I think I can hang on until we get inside. And we eventually went through passport control. It took another hour or so. And I was now desperate.
I can't.
But now I'm sweating blood.
Yes.
I made it to the toilets with seconds to spare.
Okay.
And there were a couple of holes in the ground.
Yes.
Like, not the kind of ablution facilities
Yes,
I
no,
was
that
used
just
to.
you stand on the and you stand.
And 4 million Indians had beaten me to it, and they'd all missed.
Oh, gee whiz.
So
The first guy from Africa in there.
So I wasn't getting involved in that lot, so I thought I could hang on. And I got out to the buses and asked the first bus driver that was taking the team and us back to the hotels how far it was. He said 15 k's, and I thought I can make that. If anybody ever saw the TV programs on that cricket trip, you will know that the welcome that we got from the Indian crowds was unbelievable. And I reckon 4 million Indians met our buses and stopped our buses. The entire road to the hotel was a nightmare. It was another 3 hours, 4 hours before we got there. So at a point on that trip, I got off the bus.
Yes.
And asked a cop that was escorting us
where the nearest toilet
if he could get me to a hotel in a hurry. And he said, do you need to go to the toilet, sir? And I said, yes, I did. Immediately. Anyway, he took me into this little, it was a shanty. We were in Calcutta. He took me into the shanty. It was, the guy's shop was in the front. There was a few beads, and he took me into the back. But I had no time to discuss where I was going. I found another hole at the back of this house. And I did what I had to do, and I looked up, and the entire family was watching me. Mother, daughter, the lot. But now, that wasn't even the biggest drama. The biggest drama was, now I didn't know what to do, because so now, how do we clean up? And I looked at the family and said, well, now what? And they looked at me and said, well, what are you after, bud? There was a bucket of water next to me, but I thought, well, I'm not doing that. So I used a Playboy hanky from my Playboy deodorant days.
Yes.
And I cleaned up, and I thought I'd do the right thing.
Yes.
And I threw this bucket of water down the sloot to clean up everything.
Yes.
That's when the guy who owned the place lost his sense of humor.
Oh, so it's the wrong thing to do.
No, because he had fetched that from the Ganges.
Oh.
That was at 4 o'clock in the morning he fetched that water, and that was his water for the day.
Oh, no.
So he chased me, and I literally had to run. I ran for my life into the crowd, 4 million Indians, and there was my bus, gone.
Oh, no. They left you behind.
I didn't know what to do. I kept running because this guy was going to kill me. And eventually there was this hand on my shoulder, and it was the cop who had waited for me. And he pulled me back in, put me into this Land Rover, and all I said to him was, listen, my bud, there's no need for more drama. Just take me to the hotel. But he didn't. He raced after our bus, cut it off.
Oh, no. Drama.
Made me get into the bus, and Klaassen, along with Clive Rice and half the team, because we were all split up into different buses, and all of them had been taught this beautiful song called the Calcutta Crapper.
Oh,
And they
no.
sang it to me.
Calcutta Crapper.
That's stupid story.
Oh, right.
Years later, the Pat Simcox told that story at a cricket dinner. and I knew for a fact that he was never there when this happened. But he told it as if he had been on that trip.
You need material.
I cornered him in the bar afterwards and I said, "You weren't there for that story." And he said, "Well, how do you know?" I said, "Because I am the Calcutta Crapper."
That's so classic. Oh, my word. You know, I've bumped into...
Now, can I just say something to those fools?
Yes.
It's over now. It's finished.
It's finished. He's
That
told the
story is
now.
over.
He's told it now. I gave... That's who's that? Sydney Stickles says, "I gave from the head butter." What is that?
I'm not sure, but he was the head butter. He was a crazy tackler at my in our first team at De La Salle. That guy could. He was another Manikis through.
Right.
So I'm sure he's talking about that because I definitely wouldn't headbutt. My best fight was over 100 yards.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I could get away from
You
quite quickly.
You could run. Viv Jacobs, how's it, Viv?
Yeah.
Viv and Artie.
How's it,
we should do a cooking show. Do you cook a bit?
What did she say? Should we do a cooking show?
Yeah, a cooking show together. Viv saying.
Not sure.
I see
Chandler, there he is.
Kenny Chandler.
Lightning Leonard Chandler.
There's it, Lightning Leonard and
Sniffer Saki.
Sniffer Saki, is that he said?
Our wicket keeper and the ex-head of our...
Carlo Giacconi, of course, I actually had Carlo was Vestic, is that right?
Yes,
he's
still there.
Vestic. He did some good backing vocals for a song I did.
Yeah. I'd love to hear those.
Him and Tracy.
Can't we get him on here? I'd love to hear them.
I might have the video somewhere, but we'll see. We'll chat about that, Carlo.
He's a beautiful man. I still go on golf tours with Carlo and Gav Loon and a few of the boys.
Alvin Reeves, my old head boy.
Yes, he must write properly in the newspaper, please, but spell properly.
Is it, Oggy? And Bruce Long saying, "Don't."
Bruce Long, my world famous tennis partner from the Oval.
Oval as well. All I say is the Oval drink a lot.
Yes, they
Monique
did.
Besson, how's it, Monique? She does the framing. Anybody needs framing to be done as well. Carl Baumaster, he's coming on. Hogwash, looking good. Needs some warmer stories.
Carl's actually a great warmer man. Warmer, obviously, sadly, no longer there.
Warmer Country Club,
was the reason why I ended up at Old Grey, which is another story altogether. But Warmer was an incredible country club, and when you see a guy like Carl Baumaster making a comment, it brings back memories of what club cricket was really all about in the days when Carl and Rudy Bryson and Harold Donachie and Chris Kennedy were around. We were very fortunate as club cricketers in those days to be able to play against the best. And one of the most incredible games of cricket I will ever remember was we played a game at Telkom under lights. Now the Telkom fields had lights that can only be considered as candles. So it was right in the early days of day-night cricket, and it was a club game, and we played against a UPE side. I think it might have been the Pollock side or whatever, but they had the likes of Kepler Wessels, Flam Micha, and as a bowling attack they had Brett Schultz, Johnson and Feenstra coming at us, and one would have thought, well, Warmer were going to be blown away. But we had Baumaster, we had Bryson, we had Harold Donachie, we had Chris Ulofse, who could turn a ball on anything. He really could. We had Dave Emsley, who was probably one of the better captains I ever played with or under. Couldn't hit the ball off the square, so and was the worst spinner I ever saw in the history of cricket.
Really?
But it was a great skipper and was a great leader of our club. And Carl and all the guys that were with us in those days. I mean, Chris Kennedy could hit us to victory in 2 overs. He a big hitter of a cricket ball. But a lot of people don't realise that Dave Emsley was the first individual to think about unification. And Warmer was way ahead of its time in the 80s already, long before, in the early 80s, long before the country started unifying cricket. Where we had the United Cricket Club as part of our setup, and Dave orchestrated that.
Okay.
I don't mind saying this. There might be people who might object to this, but Dave Emsley was an incredible asset to EP cricket, South African cricket, and he was harshly dealt with. And if cricket was really about cricket in this country, the likes of Dave Emsley would still be there leading us. He's not. He's in a wonderful job at the moment, and I know he's very happy. But cricket in this country is not so happy for the loss of a guy like that. And I said I wouldn't get serious again, but I did. I just did. Yeah. And that was important to say. He was an asset we lost, we threw away.
These people, they give their lives really and so much energy over so many years to something like to a sport or to anything, you know. Then they deserve to get the kudos, you know.
Which he never did.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's move on from that.
But people that know him would know, you know. Faye Steinberg said, Uncle Gav, first one to poop gets 10 rand. We'll see.
Faye is the daughter of Bruce Long, my famous tennis partner.
Oh, right.
And she and my daughter were close when they were still little kids. And we were playing tennis at the club, and we used to get involved after a tennis league match and drink until all hours. And this particular evening, I was given the job of driving the kids home, and Faye was staying at our house that night.
Okay.
And the only reason I got the job was I was the least drunk.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know how we got away with that stuff in those days, but we did. But halfway home, out of my tree, I suggested to both my daughter and Faye, and you need to understand that I had one ready.
Oh, right. Yes.
So I knew I was going to win. And I said, first one to fart gets 10 rand, and Faye beat me.
Bugger.
And for years, she's been looking for that 10 rand.
Mark McWilliams says, wow, what a change from the past. 1970.
Your Mark, an old mate of mine from East London, Peter Wolfrey, was one of my principals.
Oh, really?
Way back when I had the agency business.
Best memories at the
West Coast Conference. We won't discuss that.
Okay. Is that
Grant is the head chef at St. Francis at the old Big Time Taverna. He runs the Italian section. Played a lot of hockey with Grant. Great.
We're heading out this weekend. Grant will check you there then.
Garfield Saul's one of the better wicket keepers that played for Old Grey.
Yes.
Great sense of humour.
Oh, excellent.
Full of shit though.
Yeah. Those clubs and things were so active at that time. I think of the tennis clubs, the cricket clubs, the soccer clubs. You know, it seems to have changed over the years. You know,
Gino, that was my life, and I feel so sorry for the youngsters today.
Yeah.
Because they don't have it.
Yeah.
You know, as a little lighty, I was at clubs.
Yeah.
For the weekend. I learned very early how to survive on a Coke and a packet of chips.
Yes, that's it.
And that moved on over time to my own sporting career, clubs.
Yeah.
It was where I met all my friends. It was where I've met many business colleagues and
networking.
Without it, I don't know where my life would have been. I mean, clearly, I have a wonderful family. I've got a beautiful wife. I've got great kids, and that would have been great. But me personally, without my friends in the club life, I think it would have been a misery.
Yeah, you need that. I'm mate of mine had an op recently, and he was in hospital, and he was isolated for a bit. But he always claims to be grumpy. He doesn't like a whole lot of people around all the time. And even that time for him was like, even a person who's withdrawn, you need to have that contact with people and real contact, as opposed to a Zoom meeting or a thing. Yeah. You know, this part of this show has been to try and connect people in a way that at least you can comment. And you guys can say, how's it online? And we can say, how's it back? You know, try and get that connection back again, you know.
You talk about contact, and I now want to talk about one individual.
Yes.
The poison dwarf.
Who's that?
Robin Adair.
Robin Adair.
Now, okay. I heard rumours that he might be on this evening, and maybe he will be, but he'll probably chicken out. I'm not sure. But Robin Adair, well, my relationship with Robin Adair can be likened to my attempt one day to get rid of all the moles in my garden.
Yes.
And I'd heard a rumour somewhere that if you put chlorine down the mole hole, and then throw brake fluid on top of that and chuck a brick on top of it,
sounds like chemicals.
That'll get rid of the moles. Well, Again, Blondie will tell you that I blew our entire garden to pieces.
That's like a chemical.
So my relationship, no, it's a massive bomb, and I liken that to the relationship that I have with Adair, the midget, because if you put the two of us in a room together, there's going to be a problem.
Okay.
And there have been many. And the one I'd like to tell you, because there are many.
Yes.
Some of them are probably not.
Yes,
due to be
we often have that on the show where people can't tell all the stories.
I took my wife to a very romantic dinner, one of the few in 44 years that I took her on.
Oh, you need to go
to a Greek restaurant.
Oh, nice.
And I spotted her there in a far corner with his missus and thought it was a clever idea to take one of those Greek plates that they like to throw that break easily.
Yes.
And I snuck up behind him and I smashed him over the head with it.
Oh.
So it didn't hurt him because it breaks easy.
Yes.
And I thought that was very funny now when he sat down. It was an hour later, as he left, Adair, who knew nothing about Greek plates, had picked up his real plate and smashed me over the head, and I was half unconscious for days.
It's a special kind of plate, Robert.
I think he might have known that, because that's what he's like. He's a shocker, but I love him, and we still play golf together, and there's still drama.
Okay.
There's always drama with that man, but it's fun.
You need those friends over the years, and relationships are everything in your life, isn't it? From earliest days, those connections are so valuable as you go through your life.
They are, yes.
When you need people, and you're in the crap.
I don't need Robin Adair though. I move towards him because it's fun. But I actually don't need him in my life because he causes more drama in my life than it's worth.
Well, put your headphones on because we've got Chris here, which I think is also another one of those friends.
Kennedy.
So we're going to see if Chris is around. Chris, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Excellent. I can.
Stoffel. Hey, boy.
You're naughty.
So, Chris,
you've been 40 serious, Gavin. We're going to have to bring up some of these old ones. Yeah. Sorry,
Yes, I want to hear any stories that you've got, Chris. How long have you known this man?
Yeah, I know Gavin from the early 80s. I was looking back now the other day, and it's now like 40 years. Can you believe it, Gavin? And we've heard and experienced hundreds of stories over our time. I tell you, I don't think I've laughed more with a person than I have with you over those days. In many ways, I'm Gavin's external memory drive because some of the stories that he told me in the 80s, I remember and he's forgotten. So, Gavin, I'm going to kick off a couple of stories for you and I want you to remember them and tell the story. But the one there are quite a few that stick out for me, but the one about the elderly French woman that brought her toy boy onto the island at Mauritius. Please share that story, Gavin.
Tell us that story. What's going on
This
there?
thing's echoing.
You got an echo in there. Okay. I'll see what's going on here with this. But you can tell us. Can you hear this?
You want me to tell it
Yes,
now?
that story. Yes, please.
Zell and I took the kids to Mauritius years ago, as Chris would suggest.
Yes.
And while we were there, we were lying on the beach the one day, and some local walked up to us and suggested we buy a ticket for a beach party at another island.
Okay.
So we bought a ticket. Well, we bought tickets for the whole family, and we were going to go to this beach party. And he ended up with 4 or 5 of these boats that took about 14 people each. And I remember saying to Zell, this looks like it could be a decent party, but a lot of these people don't look like they know how to have a party. So I said to the guy who owned the place, because we were on, he owned the whole story. He was on our boat, and I said to him, listen, all these oaks have a proper party. He said, some of them maybe not so much. He said, but I will tell you that I targeted you because I heard you were South African, and it's always important to have some South Africans on a beach party, because then it's fun.
Yes, of course.
So I said, and if the whole lot's South Africans, he says, no, then I lose money, because you will notice that the drinks are all part of the deal.
Yes.
So you drink as much as you like.
Yes.
Eat and drink. So he said, never have 5 boatloads of South Africans, but always have a few. So I said, no, that's
they
great.
drink too much. Yes.
But when we got on the beach, the one thing that I did notice was there was a scantily clad French chick of about 50.
Yes, okay.
But with her was this 21-year-old Swede who was clearly in Mauritius for activities other than just beach parties.
Oh, right, yes.
Anyway, she decided
Valentine.
she decided that she was going to go tan naked around the corner, and I remember Azelle grabbing me and saying, "Well, you don't need to see anything over there. You just stay here." And we had this lovely party, and I got this youngster involved in this party, and while I was drinking beer, I was giving him this Mauritian rum.
Rum, yes, I have.
And he drank a lot of it, and I was encouraging that the whole time until eventually he passed out on the beach.
Oh dear. Okay.
And then I lost interest in him for a while. I forgot about him for a bit, which was a bit naughty. But anyway, I went back to the party and we were having a lot of fun. And it was only when this French chick came back and saw this lighty lying in the beach, he was now red like a lobster.
Oh dear. Oh, sure, he'd been tanning a bit.
And then he was woken up, water was thrown on him, he was woken up, and we all went back there were a few sad faces, not ours, we were still having a lot of fun. But it was the next morning that was the greatest, when that French chick walked into the breakfast room, and the Hogg family was sitting there minding their own business, and she walked past and nearly spat on me.
Oh my word.
Followed 10 minutes later by this lighty, who could barely walk.
Oh no!
He was blistered from head to toe.
Oh, shame.
Anyway, I was never allowed to see that youngster again.
I'm sure.
Because clearly his services were ended on one beach party.
I'm sure. Oh, magic. Gary, can you take the mics out of this one? It's just giving him an echo. Yeah. Okay, so no, I think the echo's gone now. So
that's the story.
You have to hear what Chris is saying there. So Chris, I like that.
So the good Catholic boy from De La Salle. I remember you telling us stories about being an altar boy on the altar with your brother, and something happened with the nose, and your old man, and he fell out of the bench or something. Tell us that one, quickly.
Oh, that was that was the day my dad was doing the reading in Mass.
Good Catholic boy.
On the one Sunday. My brother, who's 10 years younger than me, had just started as an altar boy, and I'd finished with that stuff. I wasn't doing that stuff anymore.
Yes.
But my dad and my mom had said to me, "Listen, it's Neil's first time. Won't you do the duties with him?" And
altar boy stuff.
I really... Anyway, for Neil, I'll do it.
Yes.
So there we were. My dad did the reading and then went and sat in an area where the congregation couldn't see him.
Yeah.
But we were sitting, Neil on the left-hand side facing the congregation, the priest and myself, and there was what the priest called a moment of silent prayer.
Yes.
And we all bowed our heads, and my brother sneezed. And this long McGafter jumped out of his nose, and all I saw was Neil doing this. So I took a hanky out my pocket because I knew he didn't have one.
Yeah.
And I threw it past the priest. Neil managed to clean up, but when I looked up, my father was lying on the bench, his legs in the air, screaming with laughter. The entire congregation had fallen over, but it was my father lying on the bench with his legs in the air that did it for me, and we all got the giggles.
Yes.
And all the priest had to offer was, "You cannot take this Hogg family anywhere."
Oh, I love it.
So Gab, on the subject of De La Salle, tell us what you and Roy Devan did at the Queen's College reunion when you sang the Create or whatever it's called. Roy
Devan's watching this. He's going to kill me for this. Roy Devan of the famous Sir Roy's B&Bs.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Wonderful man, very good friend of mine. Mm-hmm. But we had a golf tournament at Humid going for a while, and I don't know why it stopped, but at one stage it was a team of 16 guys from UCT, ex-UCT guys, Rhodes, UPE, and I think Stellenbosch. And then they said to me, "Well, why don't you captain a side of barbarians?" I said, "Well, why barbarians?" I said, "Well, oaks who could never make it to varsity.
Yes.
So we did. So you picture the scene. There's 5 sides of 16.
Yeah.
Can I take this?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
5 sides of 16. There's a lot of guys already. But then all their partners and friends and that arrive at Humid afterwards. And so there's a lot of people in the club at Humid. It's great fun.
Yeah.
And I always loved school rugby and school war cries. Yes.
Okay, war cries.
Anyway, suddenly we were renditioned with the Queen's boys that got together in a corner and they sang the Queen's war cry.
Okay.
I thought, that's fantastic.
Do something.
Then the Selborne boys got together.
He's having a laugh, of course.
And then the Selborne boys got together and they did their thing. And I'm looking around, and De La Salle wasn't a big school. I mean, for a start, we probably had 11 rugby players in the whole school. And that was from 1960 to 1980. But I found one.
Yeah.
The world famous Roy Devan, who had been at De La Salle a couple of years before me, but he was a De La Salle man. And I went to him, I said, Roy boy, we can't leave it like this.
Yeah.
He said, Hogg, there are hundreds of people here. There are 2 of us. How are we going to sing a war cry?
Yeah.
I said, Devan, we are going to sing a war cry. He said, but there's another problem. I said, what's that? He said, I've forgotten the war cry. So I reminded him, I said, my bad.
Yeah.
Izapa!
Yeah.
I know he remembers.
Okay.
So now I jump up and I get everybody's attention, make a lot of noise, keep everybody quiet. De La Salle are now going to sing.
Yes. It's your chance.
Are you ready, Roy boy?
It's the big one.
Ready? And we went, Izapa! And his teeth jumped out. And that was me, lying on the ground, Roy diving for his teeth. No, it was Roy's going to kill me for that.
It was a big...
There's a Gerald Walter there. Right, nice shirt, Gino.
Yeah, thank you, Gerald.
You're up next, Gerald.
Yes, Gerald's we're definitely going to have Gerald on at some stage as well.
Yeah, I don't want to hog my moment here, excuse the pun.
Yeah, excuse the pun, yes.
I have to slip, or you have to slip 2 warmer stories in and then I'm done. Okay, Gavin, the warmer one when we had a big golf day and Bobby Giles was the organizer and the guys went to Bobby Giles' house to fetch the prizes. You don't recall it. You probably don't recall that. And when Bobby Giles came off the course, all these Lani prizes were on the stage, but in amongst the prizes was Bobby Giles' lounge suite, which the guys had bought.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that now.
Then to close off my thought here, Gav, tell them how you how it came to be the end at Warmer. What barman you met when you went in the last time at Warmer when you went upstairs. You knew that Warmer was used to get. It's sad, but it's actually very funny as well.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, we're going to say goodbye to Chris.
Thank you. Yeah, that is a very funny story, but it's also very sad because Warmer Country Club was one of the most incredible clubs you can imagine. It had every
upstairs, I remember.
But besides that, it was archery, it was rugby, it was squash, it was hockey, it was tennis, it was golf, bowls, the works.
Proper country club, I suppose.
It was a proper country club, and you could really go there and, as a family, have a lot of fun and whatever. And as things got closer and closer to where we are these days. The first thing that happened was I remember arriving for a game of cricket and our covers had been stolen. But we knew that before we got to the ground because the covers were now the roof of one of the houses at Ruma Township. So we reported that and we were asked, well, what do you want us to do? It's his roof. I said, well, it was our covers. But anyway, the second thing that happened was we were in the middle of a Premier League game of cricket and the side screens fell over because they had stolen the supports for a braai or for a fire. And then the Gordon Crooks or Charles Crooks, I can't remember, the whole tea booth went missing one Friday night. And we arrived on Saturday and the entire tea booth was gone. And then bits of the change room started going missing. And I remember my last game, which is the one Chris is talking about, was I was always last out the change room. Always had a few beers in the change room first, and then we went up to the club, and I did the walk up to the clubhouse, and in fact, the entire side and the opposition were already in the pub, which was the upstairs bar.
Pub, yes.
And I walked up the first section of the stairs, and as I turned to go up the second flight, 4 goats attacked me. They were coming out the pub. I remember just standing to one side, letting 4 goats go out, and I walked into the pub and I said, "Boys, we are finished."
Oh man!
And that was, in fact, the end of Warmer Cricket Club.
Really?
It wasn't the end of the country club, but it was the end of the cricket club.
Yeah.
It was that day we decided to call it quits.
Call it quits. Because you know, and I don't know what's happening. There's some development going on there, but we hope that other clubs will take up the lead. You know, I see 10th Avenue Tennis Club there, Wembley, not Wembley, Women Tennis.
Women 10th.
Women 10th. Yeah. Been going for like 100.
Yeah, Viv Jacobs, who was on there earlier, she's very much part of that.
Is she
club.
still there? Because
I don't know if she's still there, but she was a stalwart member.
I was a member
Women
there,
10th,
and she was for many years as well. Talking legend, talking to legend. Thanks, Kevin. Come on, warmer. Yes. We got a little warmer now as well, which is really looking beautiful too. I'm a member there for the running club, Achilles. Achilles running club. We run there.
You ran out of Warmer Golf Club. They've done a lot to improve that whole setup there. It's beautiful to have.
Very nice. I'm having a game with Mike Brofferman tomorrow. In fact, a little game of golf.
Belfast?
Yes. Well, there we go. I see he's running again. I'm glad to see Brofferman's running again. That's good. Wayne Murray says, had an awesome year, 96 playing for Warmer. Eh? 96, that's a while ago, Wayne Murray. I hope he's still playing. And I see Peter Wolfrey saying, Gav, just how much pink salt did Emma add to his pilchers on the Saldana pilchard?
I used to do Saldana pilchers for them when I was an agent. But Neil Minnar there, I see, he's just jumped up there.
Yes, I won't ask what the pilchard is about, because that doesn't look great.
No,
okay.
We're moving along briskly.
Yes, moving on briskly from that.
Gary, did you find Neil Minnar there? Because that was
there we go. Yes,
there
who was the best cricket player, cricket captain he played under, and what was the best knockout punch he ever threw in a pub? I sense that Neil knows already.
You see, Minnar was one of my cricket captains during my lengthy cricket career.
Yes, I think he was talking about Emsley. You know?
No. In the actual fact, for Emsley's benefit, Neil's benefit, and everybody else who ever captained me on a cricket field, it was actually Dudley Tricker. So hard luck, boys.
Oh, Dudley.
But the best knockout punch, I know what he's referring to. It was in the old Johnny's bar in Johannesburg. I was playing at Johnny's, and Neil was my captain. But Neil was the first guy to introduce pre-season practices and a lot of fitness bullshit.
Because really,
anyway,
why do you need to be fit to play sport?
And in those days, I was fit enough, in my opinion. And anyway, he had us running all over the place. But this one particular Saturday, just before the season started, he called a pre-season practice, which we did in the morning, and then that was followed by a braai and a big piss up in the pub afterwards. And Johnny's pub was really conducive to a proper party.
But a fight as well, maybe.
Anyway,
I sense something's coming here.
It was late in the afternoon,
right,
and we were all well over cupped.
Yes.
And Blondie, because all our wives and girlfriends had joined us, and Blondie had joined us, and she was drinking Olsen in the day and probably had overcupped as well.
Okay.
She came across to where I was talking to a few boys and said, Craig McDougall. Now Craig McDougall was 7 foot.
Okay.
He was an opening bowler. He was
Scottish.
He was a monster. Very nice guy, by the way, but he was a monster.
Yeah.
And she said, and I hope I can do this, but she said, Craig McDougall's just told me to fuck off. So I said, I beg your pardon?
It's that Scottish, you know.
I said, I beg your pardon? Why? She said, I don't know, he just picked on me. So I went to Craig. Now, you must understand that Craig was sitting on a bar stool like this, and I was standing in front of him. He was still taller than me.
Yes.
And I said, Craig, what did you say to my missus? And he told me.
Yes.
And I said, well, my bud, that's not going to work for me.
Yes.
And you should stop that. Otherwise, you and I are going to have a problem. Now, that'll give you a clear indication of how much I'd been drinking.
Yes,
because I shouldn't have been saying any of this.
McDougall is Scottish, and he's going to say, oh,
The problem was that while Craig was a wonderful guy and he was never going to punch me, his little mate, Dave Rawlings, ex-SA Schools cricketer, by the way, was standing next to him. And Dave and I were never great mates.
Yeah.
be that as it may, he was one of our teammates.
Yes.
He decided this was a good opportunity to pin me, and he did. He clipped me while I was looking at McDougall. And my Scottish blood jumped out,
Yes,
and I turned and climbed into David. But unfortunately, when I turned, Blondie had put up a ringside seat.
Yes.
And she was sitting watching, and my elbow connected Blondie, and she was the only one knocked out that night.
No. He knocked out your own wife. You know.
And the end of that story was McDougall stood up and he picked both of us up off our feet and held us, and then bashed our heads together and said, "Now look what you've done."
Now look what you've done to Blondie. I told her to fuck off. Now you've done that.
True story.
she didn't have a good night. Russ Timothy saying I was looking well.
Yeah, good hockey mate of mine.
Greatest storyteller. Well, we're happy to get some more of those special kind of friendships.
Barbara, very special lady.
But Barbara has done an amazing job. Let me just say an opportunity as well to thank Barbara for what she's done for the show as well. Yeah. She's been fantastic. We've got a little a group of guys that have been helping with the guests as well to get people in, and for various people, and Barbara's been one of them. Thank you so much, Bobs. We really appreciate that. Dave, put away.
There was a little chirp there from David about
yes, I see.
Bobby Rogers.
Booby Rogers.
Booby Rogers. That was another warmer cricket side. That was the bottom side, the fourth leaguers who Calder Stadler captain for a while. The world famous Calder Stadler.
Yes, the comedian as well.
Very funny man.
Yes.
But he captained that side, and they used to pick 10 guys every week, and then they used to just make sure Bobby arrived as the 11th. Now Bobby was one of the most enthusiastic sportsmen I ever knew. He was a great friend of mine, but Bobby's ball skills in those days were negligible.
So fourth team, fifth team.
Yeah, but a fun guy to have around.
Yes.
Always.
Yes.
So he was always picked first, and then they picked the other 10.
Okay.
But Bobby went through a cricket season where he played 8 matches. Yeah. He scored 7 ducks in a row. So
that's a world record, Bobby.
No. It doesn't end there. In his 8th and last match,
yes.
They gave him an opportunity to go and resurrect himself, and they let him open. Oh. But the guy who was bowling was particularly quick and wild and woolly.
But not Mike van Vuren.
Bobby was trying to avoid any ball that was bowled him at the time, and managed to run to square leg quite often, but eventually managed to get a nick down to third man, and he set off for a run, and the entire Warmer Cricket Club was cheering because Bobby was about to get his first run. He got run out coming back for 2.
No! Bobby, you should have stopped at 1, man. You just got too greedy.
There are more sports stories about Bob, but leave it out.
I'm sure.
His squash career was even worse.
Oh dear. Lee Sharps, there you go.
Lee Wiley, another great friend of my wife's.
The wild gooses, is that what they call it?
Yeah, no, that's her husband. He liked to let the wild goose go every now and again.
Stapes, I just mentioned, I hope you're doing well. How are your lips, buddy? I saw that their lips were really big. They said, I don't know, what did you eat? Did you eat shellfish or something? Tracy Walter saying, when is your ticket to Mombasa?
That's the same question that Mike Van Vuren, Fires Van Vuren's asking.
Yes.
He even phoned me last night to ask me to tell that story, but I don't think that's going to happen.
It's not appropriate.
No.
It's
clean, but it doesn't need to be toned down.
Oh, okay.
Might be politically incorrect.
Oh, right. Well, you never know. People see things online and they cut it out and they put it into take it out of context. Keith Clark, we got you. We got a bit of punters for you, Keith. Lekker, man. Very nice, eh?
Can I see you, biscuit, my boy?
Yeah, it's been good. We are running out as well.
We are running out of soda.
There we go. My wife's online saying Gavin always supports our Alton Academy Golf Day. Thank you for that.
More importantly, Philippa, what you people do for that school is amazing. So it's a privilege to be part of it.
They do. It's just 24/7. It never stops.
It's a privilege to be part of it. You and Mark and the rest of the team, unbelievable.
For sure. Ronald Minnar actually wakes up every morning at 6 o'clock or 5:30 to come and say how's it, because he's in New Zealand. So he wakes up there. John D says, "You're a beautiful man." Gavin, David, thanks for sharing the passion and the fun. Don't forget.
Oh God.
Duckworth comes from Zimbabwe.
No. That is a very beautiful story. That was when Ducky first. I mean, he's now head of Cerebos sales.
Okay.
So he's come a long way from the day that John's talking about.
Wow. Okay.
It was the day that I pulled Ducky out of my agency business and pulled him into Cerebos.
Yes.
Brand new, green behind the ears.
Yeah.
And we were summoned to a meeting in Joburg. We'd just been bought out by another group prior to the Bud Group. We'd just been bought out, and we were now about to meet the new chairman. So it was John, myself and Ducky.
Yeah.
But we had gone up, Ducky and I had gone up to do other customer business and whatever, and we'd arranged to meet John at this restaurant, and then the new chairman was going to meet us.
Okay. Got to put good impressions.
Anyway, but we had a bit of a time to wait before we went to the restaurant, and Ducky and I had a few beers at the hotel.
Okay.
And at one point I said to Ducky, "Duck balls, slowly, we've got a big night ahead of us still." Anyway, we'd had enough.
Yes.
And we went to this restaurant, we met John, and everything was fine.
Yeah.
And then the chairman arrived.
Okay.
We sat down and he quizzed me a lot. And
Okay.
as sales director, boof, and
Yes.
And Ducky slipped into a bit of a false sense of security because everything was being fired at me.
Yes, it's you, yeah.
And he was nice and relaxed, and suddenly he turned around to Ducky, and what he meant when he said, "So where do you come from?" What he meant by that was, "So how do you fit in?" Because no one had told the chairman that Ducky had just been brought in.
Yes.
So he said, "So where do you come from?" And Ducky said, "I am from Zimbabwe." John and myself collapsed in a heap. The chairman was left, like, the MD and the sales director are laughing. Duckworth is red in the face, and he was saying, "Boys, you got to share this."
What are you talking about? Oh no. Okay, it looks like we've got to have earphones on again because we're coming. I want to go into a little bit of your history to find
some soda.
I can use some more soda here as well.
Oh, there we go.
And a bit of ice. There's probably
No, don't worry
ice
about
left as well. And there's some whiskey there too. But we're going to bring on somebody. I'm not sure who's coming on next. Who we got? Is it David? David, can you hear us,
Gino.
Dave? How's it?
Right, and you?
Lovely,
How's
man.
it?
Good to have you on.
Thank you for having me. Hello, Groggy.
You know,
Hey, Davy.
check
Hey, boy.
Very
David's,
good, thank you.
David's obviously still can't convince us that he's very sporty with his Adidas stuff there. Martin Neft would have been pleased to see that the other day. He was on.
Well, Gavin will know, and the story I'm going to tell you is actually about laughter, because you know this
Yes.
man can laugh, and he got
Yes.
me laughing one weekend. But I'm going to build up to that. But yes, I met Gavin obviously on the sporting field, and you'll
Yes.
know it wasn't in the first division cricket. My days cricket was spent as a cake league player at Queen's College. But in 1995, I joined the Buccaneers Pirates, and I think it's almost 27 years we've been playing hockey every year since. And I think Gavin will probably back me up here. I was brought on to bolster the defense of the Buccaneers, and I think you've never looked back, Gavin. I think I've fulfilled the job.
We've been looking back, us forwards have been looking back ever since you got there, bud.
Yeah, you know, there's a big rivalry, obviously, with the strikers and the defenders. We
Oh,
think
right.
they think this, we
Of
think
course.
they think we, and so forth. So that's ongoing. But
So
anyway,
that's hockey now.
I will tell you, yeah, it's hockey, but I will tell you that we can never score enough goals to beat what they let in.
Oh, really? Because it's such a hard ask. It's a tough ask.
Gavin will tell you that I am a sweeper, so I am the last line of defense. And even as far away from me as he is, he regularly hears two words when they are attacking me and running past me. All he hears is, "Oh shit." As we scramble to get back to defend.
And I love hearing that.
Oh, dear.
Those are my best moments on a Sunday, is listening to that
Excellent.
rubbish.
So it's a Sunday thing, eh? You guys have good times.
Yes, in season, every Sunday. I think every year we've played hockey except in 2020.
Yeah.
But yes, my story actually, Gino, is about a golf trip.
Okay.
And just to give you a little background, and I know the tour director and the tour fines chairman are looking, so I won't go into any details about what they're doing in the tour. But this particular year, I'm part of a group of 12 guys, and I'm very lucky to be involved with them, and they're really good mates, and Gavin's one of the stall leaders of the whole pack. This particular year, we went to Grahamstown. Now, just to give you a little bit of insight, we go to play good golf, and all you want is to be the winner on the day and the winner at the end of the tour. It's about good golf.
Yes.
But in between that, there are many other awards, and they involve misdemeanors that may take place.
Yes.
And I'd like to suggest that Gavin is actually one of the better golfers, more consistent golfers on every tour. But on his mantelpiece, there are more awards that belong to the misdemeanor side than the golf side. And he knows, but we won't go there.
Is it filled up his mantelpiece?
You know, on this particular weekend, we ended up in Grahamstown. We normally go down to the Wild Coast. And that was a new course.
The Wild Coast. The Wild Coast. We've never been to the Wild Coast ever.
Oh, it was not so far down.
Kevin, what's the difference?
Garden route. The other way. Yeah, the other way is where you find the Wild Coast, where you find that stuff. David.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt, David. I just wanted to go in the right direction.
Yeah, garden route.
Grahamstown was on the way to the garden route. That was what I meant.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
Grahamstown. And anyway, we played golf. It was a wonderful day, and thereafter we had our traditional fines meeting. And Gavin nor myself got any awards for leaders on that particular day, but Gavin was the recipient of one of his awards, which is for some misdemeanor. But anyway, after that, we all laughed, we all joked. We had a few drinks, then we got back into the car to go back to Grahamstown. I ended up in the car with Gavin. And as we took off, we rehashed what happened in that fines meeting when he received this award, which was in the form of a shirt. But we suddenly got the giggles. And we started laughing. And Gavin will know, when we bring the story up, we laugh like we cannot believe. It started in the car, and it didn't stop until we got to our destination. We went to a pub, and the guys must have thought we were behaving like kids. They tried to separate us. I eventually went and sat on the other end of the bar, trying to avoid contact with Gavin. But sometimes I just see what he's doing, and we back out laughing. We just had that laugh sector that we couldn't get rid of.
I love it.
I can never forget. I even know why we were laughing, by the way.
Is that not?
No. Gavin Loon, in fact, was the reason. That was what started it. Yeah.
Oh, really?
You know, we all know that Gav Loon is one of the snappiest dressers on the planet. He slides uphill, he does.
No, he knows his fashion sense.
And Gav was one of the recipients of the bad shirts that night. So he had to take this beautiful brand new shirt
Give it to you.
And now he put it on a chair.
Oh, right.
And I was already in my punishment shirt.
Yes.
He got one as well.
Okay.
And he put this punishment shirt on, but we'd been drying already.
Yeah.
And there were no serviettes.
So
and I picked up his fancy shirt. I've got video evidence of that, which I think David took.
Gavin's watching there tonight. No,
and Loon nearly had a heart attack. So that's what got us going.
Classic David.
But yeah, that continued for the whole weekend, and we even shared a room. And I think at 3 a.m, one of us would wake up, we'd have a little giggle, we'd get the other one going, and it just never stopped. You know how Gavin can laugh, but
no, you know,
wonderful weekend.
It's a laugh is, I always say a laugh is better when you're really tired as well. When you're really buggered, you've had a long day, and then your brain is tired, but you start laughing and you can't stop.
Or when you're not supposed to.
Yeah, when you're not supposed to.
Or you're not allowed.
Well, yes. Oh,
Anyway,
Dave,
Gino,
classic.
thank you. Yes, there are many more stories, but that's the one I picked on.
Yes. No, thank you
Sure,
very much,
Davey.
Dave.
Love you lots, my brother.
Thanks for
Enjoy
coming
the show.
on.
Thank you.
Check Gavloon's there now, I'm sure.
No, he's there. I see. I see. He's around. And
I don't know how much time we got left, but there is one individual we still got to talk about, remember?
Oh no, okay, no, we'll
The world-famous
chat
cricketer's
about it.
still got to
Keith-
jump out there.
Keith Clark says Neil Minnar, a good old pal, had good times in his Cape Town days. So, excellent. And Viv, Jake says what a legend you are, Gab. He said
Gab.
Gab. She's had a few. Have you had a few drinks?
And Bob White, another neighbour of mine, lovely man.
There's Gab saying, how's it, Gavin Lewis?
Yeah, it is.
Was it like skippering
Yeah.
Philip Cricker? There's a name that we
Can
should.
I take this off?
I
Because
think you know what you
it's
do.
time
You
for
put
Philip.
one. You can put one on if you want to. I think it's time to probably. Okay, let's have a story about
Cricket?
Yes.
No, but I can go on for a long time about
I
this
don't know.
one.
It's fine. It's fine. We'll warm him up.
No, Gavloon has
Yes.
set the scene by saying, what was it like to captain Philip Cricket on a cricket field?
Yes.
It was very messy. He's a wonderful friend of mine.
Yes.
One of the guys, as I said to you before the show even started, that reinvented himself. I'm very proud of him and grateful to be his mate. But he's also one of the guys that I seek out whenever it's time for fun.
Okay.
If it's time for fun and you need people to make you laugh, find cricket and that's what will happen. But on the cricket field it was slightly different because while in the pub I love nothing better than laughing and talking shit,
Yeah.
on the cricket field it's time to be serious.
All right. Okay.
And we play the game properly
Yes.
and we win the game,
Yeah.
and then we go in the pub and we have fun.
All right.
Cricket was one of the individuals that, well, firstly, he was the worst batsman in the history of cricket,
Okay.
but he was a great bowler, so he could win games for
Okay.
us.
All right.
And he did often win games for
bowling.
us as a bowler.
But it's number 11. He's like not going to
He's
say.
definitely number 11.
Okay. In
But-
fact, there he is. Put on your headphones. See, we decided we needed some fun, so we brought in Philip Cricker all the way from the farm.
This is a clown, this is a proper clown. He belongs in your industry.
Philip,
No.
lovely to have you on. Lovely.
Cheers. Thanks for having me here.
Then look at this. Craig Buttergill saying that you should have Philip Cricker on the show with you. Who's Craig?
Exactly like that.
No, I belong here, like on the farm, just quiet and innocent.
Oh, Philip, it's good to. I believe you're on Ostrich Farm there.
Absolutely, yes. I'm waiting for a truck to come collect birds just now.
Brilliant. And I was having a chat. With Gav, and he's saying that you really took that farm from nothing, and it's creating some good business now.
Well, we're trying, eh? We're trying that. Anyway,
No,
Yeah.
he's too modest. This
Is he
fool.
modest?
But he really has done well there, and I'm not scared to say that.
Lovely. So Philip, yes.
well, I just want to. Some of the Oaks alluded earlier. I saw fires.
Yes.
Every time I couldn't
Yes.
wait for Saturday to get to the field where I could get
Okay.
under Gavin Hogg's skin and Robin Adair's. So I used to count the sleeps down before Saturday arrived because I knew that I'm going to piss Gavin Hogg off today somehow, and I've got to work a way out, you know. And that was my mission. It wasn't about cricket really, but it was to see him
Yes.
go red in the face. We had fines meetings after a game, and
Yeah.
there were awards, 5 awards we handed out, and one of those awards was Johnny Jism, which means you go for the most Voyager miles per over. And I was a bowler,
Okay.
and I made sure that I'm not going to get that. And he was also a
Yeah.
bowler too. So,
Ah.
so the one day, I mean, we'd smashed everybody, and Gavin was bowling, couldn't get the ball off. The batsman couldn't get the ball off the square, and I was standing on the field.
Yeah.
And he can carry on with that story, and where I found the Lipas bomb there, you know.
Tell me the
that
story.
Yeah, of course I can.
Huh?
That story,
Yeah.
cricket used to get bored on the cricket field a lot.
Yeah.
Because I used to feel him in what he calls periwinkle places. Because In fact, I'm going to move away from that story just quickly to paint the picture.
Yes, okay.
At Aberdare once,
Yes.
I was in the slips with Robin Adair and Tufty Warner, and I think Zach Long, Bruce's son, was at wicketkeeper.
Yes.
And one of the oaks had been dropped from the top side, was steaming in, vicious, trying to get his place back.
All right, yes.
And suddenly the umpire's arm went out and stopped him halfway through his run, and there was chaos. And the umpire said, "Captain." So I walked up to this umpire and I said, "You know, what's wrong?" He said, "Please take control of your players." I said, "Well, what are you talking about?" He says, "Have a look at your third man." I turned, and Philip Krieger had pulled massive logs onto the field, and it started a bonfire on the cricket field.
But what the hell?
I walked down to third man and asked Philip what he thought he was doing, and he said, "It's your fault, Hogg." And I said, "How is this bonfire on a cricket field my fault?" He said, "It's because you field me in periwinkle places." I said, "Okay." I said, "What do you want to do?" He said, "I want to field at point."
Yeah.
So I said, "Well," so we all had to move the fire off the field. I then moved him to point. 2 balls later, someone cut the ball at him.
Yeah.
And the first thing he did was,
you know.
So he went straight back to third man.
Afterwards, back to third man.
So, but the story Philip's talking about now,
Yes.
is he was bored because he was put in a place where I didn't want him fielding.
Yes.
In an important place, and he was bored again, and he found this tube of lip ice, and he picked it up. He looked inside, and he said he was quite surprised to see that it wasn't a white color substance in the lip ice jar. It was brown.
Okay.
So he sniffed it,
Yeah.
and it was what he refers to as dog ass.
Oh, right.
So it was dog poop in this. But now, a normal person would have thrown that lip ice a long way away.
Yes.
He put it in his pocket.
Of course.
And
For
brought,
later use.
and brought it to Fines meeting. So Philip was one of the, along with Louis de Toy, another good friend of ours, the greatest fines masters I've ever had the pleasure of doing fines with. But Philip was a very good fines master, and he started the meeting off by getting the barman to pour a glass of liquor that had a lot of stuff in it. So whoever was going to drink that was going to fall over.
Yes.
And his speech started off with, what we're going to do now is, and he explained what was in this tube of lip ice.
Yeah.
He said, we're going to send this around, and everybody's got to sniff it.
Yes.
First person to puke's got to drink. First person to puke's got to drink this drink. And I put my hand up and reminded Philip that Midget, Adair and Hogg were old enough to say, we're not involved in this.
Yes.
And don't even try get us involved. So he changed his tack a little bit. He said, okay, what we'll do is we'll go from the youngest to the oldest. And Hogg, being the oldest, is going to get it last.
Okay.
And he started off with a guy by the name of Chris Misplan.
Yeah.
And Chris, a nice light to you.
You're having a laugh here. I can check
Great cricketer.
in this, yeah.
Chris didn't play around.
Yeah.
He sniffed properly.
Okay.
He sniffed in big time.
Yeah.
And the first person to puke was Philip Krieger.
Ah, no!
You could smell what he was smelling.
I know.
What did he say?
You puked in a, what do you call
I
it?
saw his face and I re-smelt it again. And,
Are you the kind of guy that has pregnancy pains when your wife's giving birth as well?
I can't believe these stories have got to this level.
It's the empathy puke.
Well, one of the other things is like I couldn't wait to get cricket, and I probably heard the story I don't know how many times from Gavin Hogg, and I see Fires van Vuren mentioned it, Elvin Reeves mentioned it, and it was about Hogg telling a story about a guy trying to buy a ticket to Mombasa. I mean,
Yeah.
story,
You see.
like on the side of the field a couple of times. I'd love to hear that story.
Okay, before we get to that story, because maybe I will tell it, but I want him to tell the story about the day he and I got a late call up for the top side.
Oh.
We got a call late on a Friday, and the
Both
one
of you?
thing that was always important to me, never be late.
Yeah, okay.
But with Keith Reed, Pops Reed, as coach of that top side,
Okay.
you were never late.
Okay.
You always got there in time for practice. Let him tell that
Okay,
story.
tell us, Philip, what happened there?
So we were in the pub at Old Grey. And we had a bar the next day, and so we're having a few drinks. And the next thing, two guys pulled out from the side, the top side. So they asked Gavin and I, under the weather, "You guys like to play tomorrow?" Well, yeah, for sure, we'll play. See you tomorrow.
Of course we'll play.
We're not having a party. We just fill it in us. The next morning, we woke up. And I remember, damn it, I've got a cricket match. We're playing at Heatherbank. I wake up at literally 10 to 9. I speed off to Heatherbank. I pull in there at 20 past 9. As I'm driving in there, I see all the guys are zigzagging and throwing balls around. I run with my kit, put it down in the changing room, and Hogg's not there. And I'm going, yes! Hogg's not there because I'm not the only one in trouble. Pops is throwing balls around, and I now watch what's going on here. They've got a wicket here, and the oaks are zigzagging and doing things. I get behind a long queue. Carlo Giacone's in front of me, and I said, and there comes this Mercedes Benz screaming in there. I said, Jack, Hogg's come now. Watch this. He's what's going on. He gets out the car. He runs. But now he hasn't had time to see what the pattern is. So he's got right to the end of the queue. He has no choice. The ball comes to him. He just picks it up and he just throws it. And he's head off. Okay? And that's the moment he threw his glove on the ground and said, this is absolute chaos. And that was the end of the warm-up practice.
The warm-up.
We sat in the changing room there.
He forgets that the first thing I said to Philip was, "What must I do?"
What must I do?
What must I do?
What must I do? I don't know.
It was chaos. The ball just went into the bad screen.
You know, the first team, they do much more warm-ups and that sort of thing.
Yeah, our side never did that stuff.
Much more professional, Philip. That's the one.
Anyway, the story that him and Fires are going on and on about
Yes.
was Philip, I'm going to take this off so I can't hear you.
Yeah.
But it was the story of when the Zimbabwe railways put together a new ticketing system.
Okay.
And they computerized their ticketing system.
Yes.
You see. So on this particular day, this guy arrives at the ticket office and he says, "I want a ticket for Mombasa."
Okay.
And the guy sitting at this computer says, "Sir, we have got a new system here. When I punch on this system, later on, your ticket gonna jump out, just like that." Okay? "I want a ticket for Mombasa." Okay? MOMBAZA, enter.
Yeah.
He said, "You want the bedding?" He said, "No, don't worry about the bedding. We've got the blankets. We've got the sleeping bags."
Okay.
"No bedding, enter." He said, "You want a meal ticket?" He said, "No, we've got the nachos, we've got the bananas. No meal ticket needed. No meal ticket, enter." He said, "Sir, watch this now. I'm going to push F2. Your ticket going to jump out." F2 on the screen, error.
Oh dear.
Oh. Let us start again. Good morning. Good morning.
Oh dear. Okay.
"I want a ticket for Mombasa. MOMBAZA, enter." He said, "Bedding?" "No, I told you. We've got the blankets. We've got the sleeping bag. No bedding, enter." "Meal ticket?" "Okay, maybe, because I've eaten the nachos and the bananas while you were messing around." "You want a meal?" "No, don't worry about the meal ticket. No meal ticket,
Okay.
enter." F2, error. Jesus. "Where's this Mombasa?" He said he's waiting in the car for his ticket.
Oh dear. Oh, classic.
It's done now.
Philip, Man, well done on the ostriches. We lots of support for you guys here as well. That's an amazing story as well. I'd love to hear that sometime. That's because ostriches, like when we spoke a little bit earlier as well about ostriches, those little chicks, bro. Anything can go wrong with those ostriches.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you a story about that. When he first started,
that's all right.
On the first week of his first clump of baby chicks or whatever they call, he lost about 20% of them.
Good Lord.
In one. So he phoned me and he said, "We're in big trouble here."
Yeah.
But at that time he was getting X amount per kg at the time when they're big and he sends them back.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
He phoned me a week later. He says, "Hogg." Now I'm not involved in this whole story of this, but he says, "Hogg, our birds have come alive again." I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "I've done another deal with another guy who's going to give us more per kg." So I said, "Well, why did you just tell me that?" He says, "No, our birds came alive."
Okay, came alive. So it's much better like that.
He's done well, great friend.
No, Philip, that's been fantastic because I got to know you through the medical aid side.
Yeah, back in the day of med
a med scheme, and then also I think Eminent Child Days at Toby Joe's probably.
That's right, and in fact, I've got a story as well about Gavin Hogg invited me to a bra waste, And,
God, no.
Yeah.
It goes back. So I've always teased Gavin, he always used to bring his family to watch cricket, and his Blondie would be there, and Taryn would be there. So, but I've now, Taryn was only like little at the time, and then years went by, and now suddenly Taryn's a big lady, and she's 25, and I've been teasing Gavin. I said, "Listen, isn't it time that you married me off to your daughter?" Meantime, I've got Blondie and Taryn, they're playing with. I'm teasing Gavin. There's no ways you marry my daughter. So, anyway, years go back, and he invites me to a bra, and Taryn and her friends are there. And I said, "Geez, thanks, Gavin. I see, you've invited me because you want to get me the daughter. I can call you Dad. Go away, man." So, a long story short, at the end of the day, Taryn says, "Good night, Dad. I'm going to Toby Joe's." So anyway, I carried on braaiing. About 45 minutes later, I said to Gavin, "Hey, Gavin, cheers. Thanks for the bra. I'm going to Toby Joe's." And he didn't put two and two together. And I really did go to Toby Joe's, and I had my friend Kaltenberg there, who was my housemate in Summer Strand. And when we got to Toby Joe's, Taryn was there. And she said to me, "Listen, my friends have had too much to drink and all that."
No, you're going to mess the story up. Before that stuff.
Yes.
I wake up the next morning.
Yeah.
In my driveway is his vehicle. Now I'm under pressure.
Okay.
Because he's told me the whole night he's going to get busy with my daughter.
Yes.
And I've told him, "I'll kill you."
I kill you.
I've phoned him. I said, "Krige." He answered. I said, "Krige, where are you?" He says, "Dad, Taryn and I would like some coffee." I smashed Taryn's door open. I'm embarrassed to say, when I didn't see him in the bed, I looked in the cupboard. What had happened was Taryn had been ditched by her friends.
Yes.
And Philip had kindly said, "Taryn, take my car, and he's got to live somewhere else." But that was the scariest time of my life.
I would like some coffee.
I spent a bit of time in the army. That was nothing on the scariness of that time.
I love it, Philip. I love it. Oh, classic. Oh, thank you, Philip, man. You legend.
Cheers.
That's a beautiful
Creed.
story. Beautiful story. You get him on the edge. You get him on the edge. Ciao, Philip. Off he goes.
He's a shocker. That is a shocker, Gino. That is a shocker. But I love him to bits. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Taryn, I would like some coffee, please. Judith DeVette says, "How's Gavin? Best storyteller." Gavin told Gino about the time Bobby was playing a tennis match and he served and the ball went missing.
Oh, God.
He couldn't find it.
That's the same Bobby Rogers that that was
the cricket player.
The cricket player,
Yes.
yeah. And there's a squash story as well.
Is he
which-
still around, Bobby Rogers?
Bobby's in Plet.
Okay.
Him and Dyer are probably one of the better.
Somebody tag Bobby, please, if he's still around. Yes,
Bobby
please.
and Dyer are probly one of the better estate agents in the Plet area. Great friend of mine. But Bob first introduced me to his non-ball skill ability
Oh, right, yeah.
on the squash court, but that's a long story. But the tennis story was when he joined the Oval
Yeah.
and decided to play in the handicaps.
Okay.
And Bob was playing. He'd entered the singles and the mixed doubles. And Wendy's talking about the mixed doubles match, but before we get there, we'll talk about the singles match.
Yes.
Bruce Long phoned me and said, "Listen, Oggy, I'm under pressure because Bobby's phoned me and he says he's playing John Trollope on Saturday morning in the handicaps, and he's asked me for some advice on how to beat John." And I said, "You need to tell Bobby that he's not going to beat John Trollope, and he should just enjoy himself."
accept it,
Yeah.
yes,
but
and enjoy
Bobby actually arrived at Bruce's house on a Friday night and insisted
Okay,
he wanted advice. So Bruce very cleverly said, "Bob, I'll tell you what, JT has a suspect serve.
Okay.
But first of all, what are the handicaps?" So Bruce said to Bob, what are the handicaps? And Bobby said, "I'm plus 40, plus 30, which means that in the odd games he needs 1 point, and on the even games he needs 2 to get the game."
Okay.
And he said, "And JT was minus something and minus something, so he's got to get a few points before he gets to love,
Yes.
because it's handicaps." So Bruce, very astute,
It's a hectic
very
handicap.
astute tennis player, he says, "So you only need 1 point in the odd games." Yeah. He says, "I'll tell you what you do. Make sure you win the toss and then make JT serve." Is that the advice? So Bruce said, "Yeah, Bob, that's the only advice I can give you." So the next day, it was not a game that I would normally have watched, but I was there first.
Okay,
And Bruce was there, and I was told, "Hogg, you're not allowed to stand outside and watch because you're going to laugh. You go inside." So I stood inside the bar watching through the window, and I watched the spinning of the rackets, and Bob won. And I, "Yes, please."
Okay.
And Bob said, "JT, you serve." And anyway, so Bob moved to the receiving side of the court, and JT went fault, double fault.
Oh,
Game.
won the game.
Now they changed, because it's an odd game, so they changed. And JT walks to receive serve from Bob now. And everyone's looking for Bob. I was hysterical at that stage because Bob had sat down next to the umpire's chair and was toweling down.
Already after one game.
He just stood there.
1 point.
Anyway, Bob lost 6-1, 6 love.
Oh dear.
It was very sad.
Oh, dear.
But then they went to mixed doubles. And Bruce and I went down to watch that for the same reason we watched the first game. And it was at Lawson Brown.
Okay.
And
Mount Rodney.
Bob was serving. And he was playing with Bruce Long's lovely wife, Annie.
Yes.
And they were playing against Elaine Jackson and, if I remember correctly, Bruce Molyneux.
Okay.
And Bobby was serving, left-hander, and he gave it an almighty swing with a racket that Martin Neft had given him, a brand new Adidas racket, brand new.
Okay.
Anyway, he served, and there was chaos because no one knew where the ball was.
Yeah.
And Bobby was so convincing.
Yeah.
He gave it one of those. Had a look. He was so convincing that even Elaine Jackson, who was receiving, gave it one of these.
Where's the ball?
The ball was stuck in his racket. But that wasn't the funniest, because the last thing Bobby did after giving all this story, the last thing he did was that.
Look up. I see if it's still there. It's still up there.
That was the end for me. That was...
Classic. He's convinced everyone was an ace.
And Bobby has laughed at himself more than anyone I know, and he's a wonderful friend, and we've had a lot of laughs about that. Martin Neff, in fact, will remember the story that eventually when Bobby left the Oval, he got Garth Wright's Springbok tracksuit, which he put on. He took that beautiful racket that Martin had given him and he went to a professional photographer and he got a photograph taken.
Springbok.
He framed it, and when he left the Oval, he presented it to the Oval with the words written across the photograph.
Yeah.
To all my fans at the Oval, love Bobby Lendl.
Love it. Oh, I love it. I love it.
That's a true story.
Oh,
too.
man. Robin Adair asked why you. Gary's put in a little note here. So Robin Adair is a friend of yours there as well.
Yeah, the midget Adair.
Yes, he asked why you lost your temper and broke quite a few glasses at Old Grey.
Yes.
Did you break it?
There was another fines meeting that Philip Kricher chaired.
Right.
And we were all focused on Philip's humour and his ability to run a fines meeting.
Yes.
I was sitting, we'd showered and changed and everything. I think Blondie and I might have been going out later that night, but suddenly we got jeans on, and suddenly my jeans were warm. And we were sitting at those like deck sort of tables and
like benches.
and my good friend Robin Adair, my best friend Robin Adair, had pissed on me.
Oh dear. That's not
And
very
the glass
nice.
and the glasses and bottles were me chasing him through the Old Grey Club, picking up any bottle or glass I could find and throwing it at him. Yeah. I was fined. I was asked to pay a 250 rand bill for broken glasses and bottles.
No.
But that's a day, and I told you,
But it was worth every shot that you got in.
chlorine and brake fluid.
All right. That's
There and Hogg, same thing.
same jaw.
The same thing that happened at his house was that year that we beat Australia to win the Tri-Nations.
Yes.
And Timmy, his beautiful missus, had baked this magnificent homemade bread.
Yeah.
And we were so excited. In fact, we were far too excited about that whole rugby game that David Emsley suggested that he'd never watch rugby with us again. Because we were too loud.
Yes.
But as we walked out, a big crowd at Robin's house, as we walked out of his lounge, through the dining room, going towards his bar, he picked up this loaf of bread and he scrum off past it to me, like the old days.
Yes.
You know, that big dive.
Yes.
And I got so excited I drop kicked it over the balcony.
That's not very nice.
And arrived on Monday morning bearing gifts for Timmy and apologies of immense proportion.
I'm sure. Okay, yeah,
He brings the worst out of him.
Yes, I see that.
But I see there's another man. That's not Porgy. It's Porky. Connor.
Porky, actually.
That could be a lot of fun. I heard he wasn't going to make it.
Porky
Beautiful
Connor,
man.
you're there.
Yabo, hello, Gav.
Hey, yo.
Hello, folks.
I'm glad we got some of Gav's friends on here because they really bring out the worst in him.
This one especially.
I don't
How you
see
go, boy?
I'm well, and you're looking great. I've been laughing at some of the old stories. But, you know, Gavin, I go back
Yes.
a long time. When he first arrived here in PE, I think from the Stein Club to the Penguin Cricket Club to the Bucks.
Gee whiz.
Muir Road, my parties I used to have at Muir Road when I lived there. So I've known Gavin a long time. But one thing to ask Gavin, you have to tell the story about, there's one thing you don't do with Gavin. Don't ever take him on a boat.
Oh, you don't do well on boats.
I invited him for a weekend, him and his wife and family, to the Lightleys on the lagoon. They used to have those houseboats that you could hire. So
Yes.
we hired the one for Gavin. I think it was called the Regal Star. It was the biggest boat.
Is this in Eisner? Where is this?
Not nice,
His
but
memory
nice
is
little
brilliant.
Eisner Lagoon. Okay, yes.
I'll give you a quick story on how to sail these things. You've got to follow the buoys around. Otherwise, you get stuck, you see. So anyway,
Yes.
as Gavin said earlier on, the first night away, you should really take it calmly, but we didn't.
Again.
We gave it hell. Anyway, there was a mate of mine, the late George McFadden, and his girlfriend and Gavin, and I think Gav's brother was there. Gav's
Yeah, he
brother.
was.
And we ended up having a party on the land at Lightleys. They had like for the hirers of the boats. They had a party place where you could go and braai and that, because we got there late and we couldn't sail, you see, so we decided to party.
Okay.
Well, eventually, to get us out of their party area, the owners turned the lights off, because this was now...
Haven't you got homes to go to? Yes.
So Zell entrusted me to her baby daughter, Taryn, who was only about 3 years old, 4 years old then, and who had been, they had fallen asleep, the kids, you see, while we carried. So
Yes.
I had to carry Taryn down the stairs, across the jetty towards the boat. Unbeknown to me, the tide had gone out, so the boat was stuck sort of up there, and I had to climb up to get onto, there was the gunnel of the boat, and holding Taryn, I couldn't put my hand and vault over. So in the darkness, I felt my way there, and I put my foot on, and I tried to give her a shove, and now I've got this little girl in my arms, and we at the jetty, and I go up, and as I did, I slipped, and the gunnel of the boat went between my legs, and there I was, Taryn in my arms, excruciating pain, screaming, and all I could hear was, "Porky, what have you done with Taryn? Where's Taryn?"
Of course. Oh my word. Nothing. No. Care for your nuts. I'm afraid. That's it.
I'm afraid that was the last thing on her mind. Yeah.
Porky.
We were up early, and we got into we had our boat, and Gavin and his family had us, and we headed off. And Gavin hit a sandbank. We were on our way to the Featherbed Bay to go and braai.
Yes.
It was a beautiful day in Asda.
Across the lagoon, Featherbed. That's lovely there. Yeah.
So these boats used to tow a little. It was like a little dinghy behind, but I mean the dinghies were like a little shoebox. They was really unstable, unsteady little shoeboxes. So anyway, Gavin's crowd, they all come out onto our boat now, and we've only got this one little dinghy because his boat's stuck on the bank. So we go off this bit, and we have the braai. We ferry the family off and the kids and everybody onto the bank, and then Gavin and I take all the braai stuff and the plates and dishes and the braai, the meat and the wood, and we get to the shore, and we have a lovely afternoon there, swimming and braaiing, and that. Now it's time to go back. So Gavin and I say, right, what we will do, we'll take all the braai stuff first, and then we'll come back and get the kids and the wife. So we're going back there. I'm on the oars. Gavin is in there, and I'm rowing myself across. It was only about 20 meters offshore, but there was a steep drop off, you see, where we'd anchored the boat.
Yes.
I get to the boat, and I'm about to lean up now to get us alongside. And Gavin, for some reason, I don't know why, he stood up. And with his weight, he's quite clumsy on a boat.
Right.
We both ended up in the water, and I remember surfing, and I had tomatoes and lettuce came past my nose, and I was shouting to Gavin, catch the liquor, catch the braai, the whole lot had got to the bottom.
Oh no. Yes,
Gino, the funniest part of that whole story was him telling me to catch the cutlery, which was a long time at the bottom.
It's gone already.
And then I got the giggles. I nearly drowned.
Gavin's got lots of stories to tell, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
The time that Zell left, Gavin, tell them the time Zell left you at the Crom River. When when I was staying at St. Francis Bay, and we went through to, I think, Mark McAfee's place for a braai, and Gavin had had enough, and she left him at the Crom River with me.
No, Zell had enough, and she said, listen, I'm going now, taking the kids home. I said, no, wait. Anyway, she left.
Just one more drink.
So I turned to Porky and I said, Porky, you need to take me home. I did chase the car. I said, wait, Zell.
Wait.
Anyway, they were gone. And then Porky said, relax, I'll take you home. But he didn't. He took me to Dave Ogden's place, which is next door. And we played matches until, I don't know, 4 or 5 in the morning.
I'm sure that must have improved.
No, I was winning every hand. But what I didn't realize was Gary, Dave,
Rhodes,
Gary Rhodes, Dave Ogden, and Porky were losing on purpose, just so that they kept saying double or quits, and as soon as it's quits, you can go.
Yeah.
But I was winning everything, so we stay another drink,
Another one.
Anyway, 5 o'clock or whatever, we left, and I said, Porky, you have no idea how much shit you've got me into. There's going to be drama here. Anyway, he gets me up to the gate, and there's the gate locked. We can't get out of this. It's like a farm area. We can't get out. That's it. So now I'm hitting him over the head. There's lots of drama. He reverses. Now I think he's going to reverse all the way down, literally a K, to Ogden's house.
Yeah.
Not 50 meters, back into first gear in a brand new Audi. He races at that gate. At the last minute, he turns and he goes through a barbed wire fence and through another one onto the road, nearly kills us.
What?
We get home. I'm still panicked. I run into the room where Zill's sleeping. I wake up. I said, I'm terribly sorry. It was Porky's fault. She said, you woke me up to tell me that shit. The best part of that story was, besides the fact that he destroyed an Audi, a brand new Audi, and it had to be resprayed, the best part of that story is when we phoned Dave Ogden the next day, he said, you guys went to the servants' gate. There's another gate that was wide open.
Oh, my word. Porky, that's a terrible story.
That man's mad.
No, much quieter. But
Okay.
I'm glad Gav, because he's done a hell of a lot for the clubs and and his friends and everybody associates with our Stan Club days. But I mean, how we never got fired from our jobs is a mystery. Friday afternoon used to be, it was we used to get there at 12 o'clock and get home at 12 at night.
Yeah.
And
all in the name of good relationships.
It wasn't so much about getting fired from our jobs. It was getting kicked into touch by our wives.
Yeah.
How did we survive that? Oh, you didn't. I forgot about that.
I did it. Azil was
Very much so,
Thank you. Thanks, Porky.
Short porks. Love you lots.
One last thing that I can say, Old Grey have got a lot, their cricket side, have got a lot to thank Gavin for, because during the 80s, I think it was, or the late 70s, most of the stars left, or they retired, or Graham Pollock went to Joburg, Wilkie went to, Chris Wilkins went to Natal, and Old Grey cricket section was struggling, and the whole club was struggling. And it happened to coincide with Gavin and Warmer closing down, and he moved over to Old Grey. And I don't know, he injected a bit of enthusiasm and fun into the club, which is basically dying. And Gavin is an honorary Old Grey today because of what he does for Old Grey. And really, the true Old Greys appreciate what he did for the club as a whole, not only for the cricket section, but for the Old Greys in general. And I'd like to say thank you, Gav. And it's a pleasure.
Porky, that's kind of you to say that, but believe me, when I arrived at Old Grey, it wasn't dying. It might have needed a bit of
TLC,
but it wasn't dying. I never thought there was life after Warmer, I must be honest, but some of my happiest times from a cricket point of view was my time at Old Grey, and I've there. But thanks for saying those kind words. I appreciate it. And by the way, Porky, that wasn't in the 80s, that was in the 90s.
No, but I see this. Yes, but I see there's still a strong Warmer contingent there in Old Grey that keeps the flag flying, it seems.
Gavin, Old Grey was the 90s, but I think
Warmer was before that, yeah.
River, that was in the 80s. No.
Yes, it was.
And another thing that I found out, Porky, while you're there, your name just reminded me, was the fact that Gav used to have the Playboy deodorant, was it deodorant stuff? Yes, Playboy deodorant franchise or something.
That was the start of my agency business, the Playboy deodorant agency, yes.
Because I know Wendy Thompson was telling me, she sent me a photo or two of her dressed in Playboy outfit doing a promotion.
Kissing Ashton Galpin of all people.
Yeah, no.
I was shocked.
Oh, it was classic.
Yeah.
There we go. So
I remember you kissing someone at a dinner, but we won't go there, but.
It was
There's
dark.
enough trouble already.
Oh, that's out. The lights went out. Yeah, I remember.
Okay, so well, thank you, Porky. Before we get into cuck online,
Right. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, folks. I love you lots. Thank you, bud.
oh, classic. No, I love it. You know, and all these small things that happen, you know, that you remember over the years. It always, I love the fact that it builds relationships. It builds things.
Gino, my whole life's been about that. I mean, I've got 3 passions in my life. My family, obviously.
Yeah.
I've got 2 wonderful kids and 2 grandkids and a daughter-in-law that's fantastic.
And a very understanding wife.
An extremely understanding wife. And there's not one person out there that doesn't acknowledge that.
No,
And most of them are shocked by the fact that we've managed to make 44 years. But yeah, she's
amazing, 44 years.
she's like a castle lager. She's definitely stood the test of time.
Yeah, for sure.
But then the Cerebos brand you obviously know about.
Yeah.
But a lot of people say sport was my passion.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Yes, I love playing sport and lots of it, and very many different types of it.
Yeah.
But it was never. That was never really the passion. The passion was my mates and the people involved in those sports, and still to this day, my hockey that I still play, my golf that I still play. It's about those
I think
mates.
it's about the social because you enjoy it.
That is my passion,
is it.
and that's who I am. And
I mean,
there have been times when I've needed to apologize for that, but my life can't.
to your wife, mainly.
No. Blondie, believe it or not, Blondie understands better than most, and it maybe took a while.
But no, just a quick history before we go into we got a little video from Mickey Arthur as well. We're going to stick.
Barfly.
Yeah, yes, Barfly. We got a little thing from him. But just a quick history. Born. PE, not PE born.
Now, I was born in Ndola on the Copperbelt in Zambia.
Zambia, okay.
Or Northern Rhodesia, which in 1964 became Zambia, and I probably sang the loudest stand and sing of Zambia, proud and free.
Yeah, yes.
I was very proud of that lot. Loved Kenny Kawunda. I got a story about him and Betty, but maybe that's not for now.
Yeah, okay.
But Zambia, went to school, was sent to boarding school eventually in Kimberley.
Yeah. I don't think Zambia, the other guest that I've had on from Zambia was Robin Auld.
And
Robin Auld.
And believe it or not, Adrian Gardner.
Oh yes, that's right.
And that train that Adrian
yes.
talks about, that he used to travel from Zimbabwe or Southern Rhodesia to Cape Town, is the same train I used to catch from Kimberley to Lusaka. It was 4 days and 4 nights on a train. It was only school kids and students.
Okay.
I was from Standard 5 to Standard 8, so probably too young to
Kimberley,
really...
CBC
Kimberley?
CBC, okay.
Probably too young to really enjoy the fruits of 4 days and 4 nights on a train, but certainly learned a lot of the shit that I know today on that train trip. Great fun. I saw 40,000 green cushions fly over the Vic Falls on many occasions. And on my very last trip, noticed that in Bulawayo, they removed all the cushions.
Oh, really?
On the way home on the one trip.
Okay.
So, but great times.
And so school CBC right the way through?
No, my folks moved from Zambia to East London halfway through my Standard 8 at CBC, and I was always keen to get home.
Yeah.
I wasn't a great boarder, to be honest. It was never my favourite spot, and Kimberley was a bad place to. Having said that, I had great friends there, and it was a flippin' good school, great school. Yeah. But boarding school wasn't really for me, and I finished my schooling at De La Salle in East London. Remember, I sang the war cry for you just you must concentrate.
Yes, he did.
But De La Salle also, some great mates there. I remember Vivian Hansen, Tony Mead, great mates from there. Peter Allen, who ended up playing for Border. Ivan Pochnik, really good friends of mine. Yeah. A great school. Never a great sporting school, but possibly where I learned the most about how to play with a very mediocre side against the top side and fight like hell.
Fight, yeah.
And that went through my entire sporting career. I've always been able to say, well, we might not be the best, but we're going to give you a run for your money. We lost most, but we fought hard. And once I got to Old Grey, we won most. And I often wondered why the hell I ever went to Warmer. Because I should have just gone to Old Grey to start with, and we could have given Warmer a hiding. That's a joke. That's a joke. But irrespective of which club or which school I've been to, I've met so many great people, and I've had lots of fun. And like what was suggested earlier, I hate laughing.
Yes, I see
and
that.
all my friends that I associate with are with me, and they make me laugh. And
they have good times. Relationships is everything.
And getting back to what you and I discussed earlier on in the week,
yes,
how to get people in our immediate community to actually believe that life is actually great. And times are tough. I get that.
To encourage,
and in certain walks of life, yours, the entertainment sector, the travel sector, the hospitality sector, guys are bleeding big time. But hold on to your sense of humor, and more importantly, hold on to that belief that if you reinvent yourself and find new ways to do things, you will survive this thing. We're all still alive. Some of our close mates maybe didn't make it through COVID, but even those that have really struggled through this thing, we're still here.
And the businesses,
and we can still win.
It's been hectic, but even if
don't give in.
Don't give in.
Don't give in.
And if the business falls, fight on. Go to another spot. Fight.
Hundreds.
Because I so agree with that. Is that you've got to change tack. You have to do it.
You've got to find a new direction. If one direction is not working, find a new direction. I know we're getting serious, and this is not about that, but I am very, very passionate about that thought. I mean, people like Philip Kricher, who's probably the funniest oak that I know, has done just that. You and Gary are busy doing just that. And that
forced to do it.
That I find amazing.
We've got to. And another thing we were talking about with Charles Garai the other day as well is the guys that have the retirement age is no longer a factor. Graham Claassen with you guys now, he's finished with Spa. He's doing fantastically there, but he's got so much to give. He's got a wealth of experience.
Not only has he got a wealth of experience, he's got passion, and he's got energy like you cannot believe. A great friend. The only problem with that guy, similar to Robin Adair, when we were in India, and I forgot to tell the story. The late Norman Minnar. Myself was sitting in the back seat of a taxi. Claassen was sitting in the front seat of a taxi. We were driving through Calcutta in India. Now, people in this country don't have any idea what the traffic looks like in Calcutta. But in any event, Claassen managed to make it worse by instructing the taxi driver to run into a shop to see if they were selling leather jackets. While that oak ran into the shop, Claassen stole the taxi.
Oh, nice. Good idea, Claassen.
He then proceeded to try and do a U-turn in a Hillman that wasn't capable of doing a U-turn on that road. He left the Hillman diagonally across this road and caused the biggest traffic jam in history. There is no traffic jam bigger than the one he caused. He and Minnar dived out of the car and ran.
And left you.
And hid. The only reason I didn't dive out of the car and run because I was laughing too much. When the cops arrived to arrest me for stealing the taxi,
of course,
I was only saved by the fact that the senior officer pointed out to his juniors that it was fairly impossible for the oak sitting in the back of the car to steal the taxi.
Right.
One of the youngsters did ask, but he must know who the perpetrators were, and they said, well, we're not going to ask him. Why are we not going to ask him? Because I just signed his an autograph as Clive Rice.
Lee's having lost with the biggest bladder in the world. You're right.
It's getting smaller.
We're nearly there.